artist in that 3 months. So meaning you have to put it here, no color calculations, no teleka hit songs zo, no wandika, no manyanti, wanaba wabulayo emyezi esatu akalulu katandike, nina okuba nga ntadde hit eyakabi. That is for artists who do politics, who don't fear these issues, sijui, I will lose fans, sijui, this and that. No. For artists who are serious money makers, serious business people. Because for us, for every Ugandan must learn to make money in any angle. If you're a doctor, it doesn't mean that you only get paid in hospital or when someone is sick. No, you should get also paid in other sectors. You can be paid from a market because you have a small shop somewhere. You have someone who works there. You can be paid. You can do a song. It goes on YouTube. So you have to anticipate. So even musicians or entertainers must be sharp. I'm going to give you very, very clear examples of how many artists benefited from this previous economy, the 3 months economy. People built houses, people completed houses. I saw one of my friends, my new close friends is Gravity Omutuju. I saw he's about to complete his house, and I saw people waving at him so much. His house is very expensive. He wouldn't have just used music to complete it. You can build a house, but finishing it is another story altogether. But now, the guy could make some good money that you cannot easily make in normal music. You can't make 1 billion shillings in normal music just like that. You need so many years to put up those gigs of 3, 4 million, 5 million. First of all, our artists are still earning 2 million, 1.5, 3. When will you ever make 1 billion shillings? I mean, the real celebrity houses that we're talking about cost more than just 500-800 million. We need over 1 billion shillings. When are you ever gonna do that? And 1 billion shillings, imagine, is just $250,000. $250,000. That's a very cheap house for a celebrity. You shouldn't even call yourself a celebrity if you live in a house of less than $1 million. Our people here in Uganda, they keep praising and raising artists from West Africa, artists from the US, artists from Europe. They have a reason why they do that. They do that because the actual truth is a real artist has a lifestyle that is only supported by finances, money. You live in a big house, you drive big cars, you live large, you're famous, you're big, you're popular beyond your borders. So when I'm talking about an artist needing to involve themselves in different businesses, be it needing to involve yourselves in different, even in politics, let this be a lesson, the last lesson. Those who did not do, you missed. You missed an opportunity of making money. We have a very good president who gives an opportunity to everyone who thinks quickly to make money. You're only a fool in Uganda if you're broke. No msiro Uganda alia because opportunities is call sent nyingi. So imagine Ugandans are very good people. 6 months later, no one will remember that we even did politics. We even did campaigns. No one will remember. You imagine after the campaigns, you just bring out a very good song. You think people are going to be there to remember that you did any rally from 70 or for Chagula? They won't remember. Then they will just go on dancing to the new song. That's it. So if you had good music and you did not do the rallies, let me give you news. The least artists to be paid, yet first and foremost, I want to thank all the artists who were part of the campaigns. Thank you very, very, very much for the work you did, for entertaining Ugandans, for working and supporting the president. But the least artist officially who has a signature, because for me, the artists I stood in for, or that I took for the campaigns, were specific artists. One, artists who are designated politically. Okay, these are the guys who have been supportive of the NRM party, guys who have sacrificed their careers during those times. You know, there was a time when if you came out publicly and said you support a specific party, you lost a specific, audience. Of course, I am the best example. If you came up and said you support the NRM, you lost funds, you lost business. I want to give you a demography, a quick one, about how Uganda is set up. Uganda is set up in such a way that the capital city, Buganda, are where the people concentrate most business-wise. And this is where the opposition of Uganda is centered. Basically 70% of Uganda's opposition is in the center, which is around the capital, which is within Buganda. So that means if Buganda is surrounded by opposition, as all of you have known before, you all remember. So if your business as music is people, fans, when you come out and you say you're NRM, yet the people within you are opposition, then you lose fans. Yeah? So some of us lost that fan base within the center. But because a person like me had a vision, I had a clear vision, I know what's going to come. I know what's good for the country. I did not side with the fans. I sided with the truth. The truth hurts, but it sets people free and it helps. At the end of the day, I knew there's a task to convince the people, to show them the truth, and it is started and it will happen in the future. So the strong-hearted artists who sacrificed and said, I'm for NRM because of the works and because of of course we are not saying NRM doesn't have a bad side. It also has a bad side. But when you weigh the NRM and the options given to you, the NRM is heavenly based on the opposition presented, So the musicians who came out, the likes of Ragadi, the likes of Joseph Mayanja, the likes of, there are so many artists, Catherine Kusasira, the Who's, Fina Mgelwa, Ronald Mainja, but all these guys are the guys that had been somehow sidelined out of this most important business season. You get it? You spend 4 years defending, or 5 years defending the NRM party, and then the campaigns come where you expect to make some money, by going on a gig, on the rallies. On each rally, I think an artist, depending on the size of the artist, the strength of the artist, on each campaign, you're capable of being paid between 2 million to 5 million, or probably 10 million per rally. Okay? But this time, the threshold was about 5. Okay? Of course, excluding myself, who's the planner, and the guy who went to His Excellency to defend the presence of artists during the campaigns. Otherwise, the artists had been excluded. You remember that issue where some of our colleagues were saying, the campaigns, every artist should sing in their region and stuff like that. Now, why I did not decide to go with that idea was because the artists that I'm talking about, the likes of Bebe Cool, the likes of Ragadi, the likes of Georgia Chameleon, these are people who sacrificed their careers in the last 25 years to defend the NRM party. These are people who have suffered the pain, the losses of finances, the loss of funds, within the center region of Buganda and Kampala and the capital, where the business of music occurs. So you cannot at any one time ignore making calculations. What losses did they make? How can they be compensated? So if you tell them that they are going to sing within their region, which is Kampala, Buganda, You put your calculation down and say every day has 2 rallies. How many rallies are in Buganda? 80. Is that worth the sacrifice that they did? Is that worth the loss of business that they did? No, it's not. So the biggest problem we had at that time was some of our colleagues were not using pen and paper to calculate. They were not considering the passion, the losses. Huh? Honey, please call Beata. She's calling me and the phone is online. So my pain began from there. Of course, I had a previous plan. I had a plan prior. And my plan was more of the media this time, because I automatically knew the artists must be prioritized. So my most important issue here was media. The NRM as a party had taken so long to recognize the most important part of any activity that can be done in any world, in any country in the world. It's the media. The strength of the media, recognition of the media, recognizing the works of the media. Media is so important. It builds, it kills. Media, we will talk about it as we go, when we talk about the big win. The big win as in how the president ended up getting the 71 point whatever he got percentage. He could have even gotten 80. Okay? So, now the musicians who came to work, remember my fellow musicians who were there who worked, and of course the media personalities we worked with, we haven't been paid yet, so I saw some of you going on live here talking about money here and there. Be patient, don't worry. We'll get paid. The president acknowledges the work and appreciates. We'll even have a meeting to thank the president. Will meet us to thank us for the good work, and to also, prepare our mind and tell us how best we can support Uganda in, passing the right message, talking about government programs that can help the people. For us who did not fear working with the government or with the president, we have a lot of work to do. We have an opportunity to work and get paid. There are government programs. When you push those programs, when you see people on the ground changing their lives, as you saw during those 3 months, trust me, these people will come back to support. You saw the love, Gravity. You saw the love that people had. Chameleon, you saw the love. All of you artists, actually, I'm not just going to talk about one. So many of you thought that probably your names had disappeared, you were out of music and stuff like that. But you could see, because of the economic transformation and the changes in lives for the Ugandans on the ground, Abantu, they appreciate. So there's work to be done. So basically, the artists, I had to plug in the artists and make sure that they do all the rallies throughout the country. That was after the northern part of Uganda, where we did not go, where that story was existing. Nga abantu bagamba nti banafa abayimbi abamu nga bagamba abayimbi bayimbe eno. It was so irresponsible. It was fully irresponsible. Tetugana. And by the way, let me tell you something. There's never been a single day where regional artists have never performed. This is the first all campaigns regional artists have been performing. Actually, this is the first campaign where regional artists were cheated. Because I used to perform these rallies, the last 3 rallies, I used to go and work with the regional artists. I paid them. I used to pay them 2 million shillings each artist. 1 to 2 million depending on the size. The big ones used to earn 2, the small ones used to earn 1. But me, what I did within the region, I moved with them in all the rallies within that region so that they could accumulate. What surprised me is the fact that those artists, the same artists, forgot to defend the formula that I had used with them. I even have evidence of payments in the Tubongawi times, even before Tubongawi. I have all evidence. I worked with all artists in their regions and I paid them in person. This is what I actually used to do. I used to even hire, those days we used to use super customs. I used to hire 2 super customs for the artists, a pickup and equipment for the regional artists 2 days before the rally, before the president came, for them to move within the city and mobilize. I used to pay that money because I got that money from I used to work with KK, who is the Attorney General today. He was the person in charge because I always told him it's very important that those regional artists do the drives. So they were earning some money there. Then the big ones ngamba sasula 2 million, the young ones ngamba 1 million. The minimum amount of money an artist got was 500,000 at that time. But this time in these campaigns, regional artists have been given 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. I don't know if there's a regional artist who was paid 2 million shillings. 500,000, they'll be lucky to have been paid 500,000. Give me a minute. Oh. Okay. Honey? So, ndi bulungi? Okay. So, about the artists, most people, I didn't blame the people when the conversation started because, of course, many people were ignorant about why and exactly what I was doing. I was indirectly fighting to see that the budget was good for people. The best example is when we started in Kololo, I was given the job to do the campaign, the Kololo. I was given a list of artists. And when I was given the list of artists, I noticed that we didn't have regional artists on. So I said, no. The president will not launch the campaign, his campaign, with only Kampala artists. So I managed to convince the secretariat, and they were very happy to include. We called it an inclusion. Keep trying. No, keep trying. So I included them, and for the first time ever, I don't know whether it has happened, but at least all those artists were paid not less than 3 million shillings. Not less, apart from a traditional group. Actually, even traditional groups, because remember there are many. And the maximum payment for an artist from Gulu was 7 million shillings, which I don't think any other person has paid an artist from a regional artist, apart from the ones who have broken big like Reggie and stuff. But I'm talking about our usual regional artists who don't have big songs. I paid them 7 million, 5 million for one gig in Kololo. I have all that evidence. Now, by doing that, I was giving them a cue. As cueing them to tell them that, hey, guys, for the many rallies, I think this is what should be anticipated. So, as usual, Nenkwe, Nobutamanya, you know, as artists, we have so many artists who are very ignorant. They think they know, they don't know, They don't want to learn, they don't listen, they just went ahead behind and started an issue called Hey Bebe Cool. It came from performances, because remember we were so many artists on that day in Kololo. But the program in Kololo, when it comes to performances, you must always know that if it involves the president, it changes every second. Any activity that involves the president, you must be sure when you accept to perform, get ready for changes, because it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with His Excellency. So they told us, prepare entertainment. Me, what I want to see is everyone included, so it's an inclusion concert, but then still the principle is the first priority. So when the president was about to come, the different artists, and the funny thing is when they come to Kololo, you tell them, go on stage now. They tell, it's still early. Me, I still want to waiting for people here. Now, me, I will perform for the president when he has come. Most of them are fighting to perform when the president has come. But you see, there's very little time when the president has come. And most times, because he's busy, when he arrives, he will come and make changes in the program. Say, I need to leave, so make sure this and this gets done quickly. So some of our colleagues ended up not performing when the president is around. And then they got annoyed and they went to the Secretary General, the Bebe Cool. Thank you. Bebe Cool is tribalistic. He did this. This came from the artist from the north. He has not. He made sure that we don't perform in front of the. But remember, the first time, it's me who even suggested the names of the regional artists, and it's me who even suggested the pricing. The pricing. Okay, I made sure that it's even gender balanced. There were female artists, there were male artists. I made sure traditional groups came from all the way, Karamoja, Arua, Koboko, where. So I was surprised the following week, because it was a week after, that's when the campaign was starting. I was surprised to be called by the Secretary General that artists are complaining that they were sidelined. I was like, I can't put an artist when the president needs to talk. I can't. You get a call from the person who's running the program of the day saying, stop the song. You've seen people, artists performing, and then a politician is talking in the microphone, and then the artist is very annoyed and angry. You get it? I actually, on that gig, I stepped on stage during Alien Skin's performance and stopped him from performing, and I told him they're going to sing the national anthem, the president is leaving. So, in a nutshell, that situation created a mistrust between the artists, some artists, not all, some artists from the northern part of Uganda, who went ahead to the Secretary General and complained, and then the Secretary General went ahead and sided with them and created the issue of Eddie Kenzo's regional proposal that let those artists perform in their regions. I only felt sorry because I definitely knew what was going to happen. And indeed it happened. I felt bad. So for me, what I did is I waited. I addressed this. I made a different plan. Of course, I had plans. When it comes to these things, guys, you have to learn. Experience is the best teacher. I did the campaigns of Tubongawi for 2.5 weeks, and we were stopped during the COVID time. But the plan that I used this time of media and music was exactly what I had applied that time. But that time, when I was stopped, the people who kubed me Ukokola and kubed the idea of Ukokola, they had the power. The power was the money. They are the ones who are funding me. So the president lost on a program that would have done, I'm very sure, 100 or 200%, that if I had proceeded. You all remember that campaign when I was doing the t-shirt. Let me clearly explain to you what was going on. You saw the t-shirt because the t-shirt giving is what I wanted to show you. Mwalaba t-shirt kwanza nali njaga kubalaga kugaba t-shirt. Na ye kyaliwo kyali kirala nnyo ngenda kibagamba kati. Nali nkimanyi nti no Bobby ne Lukwago ne banne bali bakozesa ba ghetto kids okola effujjo mu Kampala mu Uganda mu Kalulu n'oku intimidating aba fans. Mulina okutandika, you have to start learning. Mulina okutandika okuyiga. Wait. I had to respond to a sound that I had. My dog was out and Kleberson was screaming like a woman. Imagine. I thought someone had been shot in my compound. Guys, this is shocking. A man was crying like a woman after seeing a big dog. Anyway, so let me give you a clear picture of that Tubongawi campaign. What exactly Bebe Cool was intending at that time. I came up with, you know our history with Bobby Wine as an artist, and you know our history with Chameleon, but you all know that I always was the guy with the plans, musically, amongst the three. And then, of course, even during that time when Chameleon was alone as Leon Island, and Bebe Cool was with Bobby Wine, the Black Boys in the Firebase crew. So all those plans came from this head here. Even when I went to Nairobi, the plans of the East African Bashment crew came from me. So I definitely knew Kyagulanyi, and no one knows Kyagulanyi like I do when it comes to these games of public, because definitely he's learning how to deal with fans and people is something that came from our times. The times, of course, Kyagulanyi, I started singing before him. I was singing with Eddie Awe. He was a very young man, but he liked singing and he joined, and Eddie asked me, we worked together. Eddie Awe is a very good guy, so there was no way I wasn't going to work with the brother. I grew up, I was more closer to the likes of Eddie Awe and Nyanzi, okay? So, by going to Nairobi, I went to Nairobi after that session, okay? So you can imagine the mastermind of so many things. So definitely I know, if I look at Jose Chameleon in a place, I can tell what he's going to do in a second, before he does it. If I look at Bobby saying something, I can know what he's going to say next. I can tell how he's going to turn. I know my brothers. I know them left, right, and center. So it was easy for me to come up with a plan. So when I came up with this plan, I knew that I had to use two fronts. One front, I have to give the enemies or the people who are opposing me, I have to give them a different face. The face that gives them satisfaction. So I had to show them that I'm a fool, because they'd be very happy when they see Bebe Cool is a fool. He's giving t-shirts, he's useless. That is the first face. But the face behind that campaign of giving t-shirts, the truth was I had collected from each ghetto, 40 ghetto kids from each ghetto. You say Kalerwe, 40. Bwaise, 40. B14, 40. Tinda ghetto, 40. I left Kampala with around 28 coasters. And I had a budget that was adding on 40 ghetto people from each region that had very bad ghetto kids. That's like the plan was to take more from Jinja, the plan was to take more from Iganga, the plan was to take more from Mbale. Now I'm going to be open to you so that you know exactly who Bebe, and this was a single planned idea from Bebe Cool. What was my plan with these ghetto people? Because I had known that in the city center, all the threats, all the trouble was being done by the opposition taking advantage of these ghetto guys. They were giving them 5K, 3K to do the havoc. They were giving them little money to scare people. You remember at that time just barely putting on a yellow t-shirt was a problem. They were beating people, they were scaring people. So one of the best ways to win an election is intimidation. So Bobby Wine and his clique at that time came up with the idea of intimidating President Museveni's people, but no one had known that that was the formula. But remember, always the president has always said this, that his voters are always intimidated. And he has always said the second statement that they cheat his votes. But because for us as Ugandans or as human beings, you sit back and say, hey, how can they intimidate a president's voter? Or how can they cheat a president of his votes? You can't. Atulimba yabba. So that's why most people were saying that NRM over Museveni abbo obululu. Because no one can really believe, unless if they see with their own eyes, that President basobola omubba obululu nti abayaya abo bali bagezi, and all these things njaba wamanya g'abantu abaleetera ekintu ekyo. Those who remember how Peter Sematimba lost the votes, the election of Kampala mayorship, you all know what happened. You all know what happened. The opposition yakwata boxes z'obululu ne batisettinga bannamawulire ne bakanyuka obululu waggulu ku compound yani ya Sematimba. Kati Sematimba ye yali azze mu luzungu, ayambadde gloves ebiki, yamanyi biri legit. The people who work on the side of government usually are so legit, but the people in the opposition are so shrewd, but it's so shrewd. Kubanga bakimanyi nti tosobola convincing abantu. You can't convince people that it is the opposition that did. Always it is going to be the incumbent, the government, that is pressing the people. So they take advantage of that and instead they press the people. Best example, the recent video of a noob guy that you saw, who was intimidating a woman in a room for sex. Okay? So we will get to that. So that's how I came up with a plan and said, oh, I need to take away these guys so that when Lukwago leaves his home, he comes in the city, he looks for these guys to give them the money to do the trouble, he won't find them. That was the first game. So I called I had about 48 presidents of different ghettos. We met in Chiwatule. I used Cobra to reach them. We met in Chiwatule, we discussed. I was paying each of the ghetto presidents 200,000 per day, 200,000 per day. But each of the ghetto kid was getting 50K per day for those first 3 weeks we worked. Each of them was being paid emitwalo 5. Buli mwana wa ghetto gwe natwala mu bus yali afuna emitwalo 5 nga president waabwe eyabawandika n'abaleeta mu costas ezebbiri yali afuna emitwalo 2 buli lunaku. Omukyala eyali ansasula sente ezo ku secretariat bali bamuyita Mama Namayanja, who of course is one of the reasons why Buganda today did so well. I took this plan to Honorable Namayanja and gave it to him. When I gave it to him, he said this plan is so good, but it is not going to be accepted easily. At that time, she was the national treasurer. I think she was the national treasurer or something like that. So first, she had not accepted that idea because she didn't think I could execute it. Then on the second last day before the campaigns began, she called me and said, come. We met at Plot 2, there is a restaurant there, and is it Plot 4, something like that, in Nakasero. She asked me, Bebe Cool, Nambuza, can you execute that idea? I told her, yes, I will. I can, because it's me who came up with the idea. I need to remove the ghetto guys. Once I remove them, there won't be intimidation. Secondly, it was a security issue. Because you remember that time, these ghetto kids were not scared of police. Bakwatanga amayinja ne balumba police straight. Ng'omusirikale alina emmundu, ng'omwana wa ghetto akutte ejjinja. And then at that time, Chagulanyi's group, that's why they were using camera. Because they wanted a photo of a gun on the other side and a stone on this side. That was a very damning photo internationally. So that was also another way to encourage the Western world to get involved in a country's politics. when you see a man with a gun shooting a guy with a stone. So for me, immediately I knew the game plan. And remember, in Chagulanyi's team, I can't fail to have people there. Guys, twakula fena obuguwa tebugwayo. Buli muntu akaluka paka n'okaluka n'omanya nti I get my information here and I will use it like this. And I also know, that's why you see most of the times tugoba abantu mu cliques zaffe. Gagamero nokera ku machango bagobye omuntu. Nsobola okuteekawo reason nti nagobye omuntu na disrespectinga. Naye nga nze nkimanyi yabadde apassinga information ewa Joseph Ma ewa Chameleon, yabadde apassinga information ewa Bobby. So niwa Bobby nga waliyo omuntu abantu baffe naffe betukozesa. So I came up with that plan. Honorable Namayanja decided to support it. It was a very expensive idea, but it was the perfect idea. So I had two types of people. I had the ghetto team, and then I called my friend, he's called Cloud. I told him, Cloud, I need all the media personalities that are strong, the best, with the best platforms. So when we started to go at that time in Tubongawi, I had 6 coasters. Each coaster had 40 media personalities. 40 media personalities. 40 times 6. I had them. I was paying each of them, each media personality was being paid 150,000 per day. Per day. 150,000 per day, 50,000 kuliko okusula, because I gave them a plan. I told them, look, you're going to use 20,000 to sleep. So bwe mbeera babiri mufune room emu eya 40 oba room emu eya 50, 25 you save. So when you spend 20 on accommodation of 25, the other 25 is breakfast ya 5,000, lunch ya 10k, dinner ya 10k. So you spend 50k in a day and you save 100,000. For 3 months when you're saving 100,000, but I told them that the most important thing where I wanted the media personalities to go on that campaign of during the COVID was Ugandans had been misled when it comes to information about Uganda. Bana Uganda bali misled nnyo nga tebamanyi Uganda. Kiki ekyaleetera okubeera nga bali tebamanyi Uganda? Kyali kimu nga bannamawulire tebamanyi, tebatambulangako mu Uganda, tebavisitanga. Omunnamawulire amanyi Kampala nawaabwe gye bamuzaala. Ne bwe mwogera president akanya kwogera ku nguudo, president akanya kwogera ku ddaamu, president akanya kwogera ku development, model farms biki, tebabimanyi because tebatambulangako. Kati ekyo nakyo ne ngamba ngenda kigatta, so nagatta ebintu bibiri. Ne ngamba njagala ntambuze bannamawulire ku campaign trail balabe kitubeera twogerako why we support Museveni. Kubanga batuufu okuwakana, omanyi waliwo wakana, waliwo support wogana ekintu kubanga nawe tokirabangako. So ne ngamba abana bagayi just tebalabangako, naye opportunity eno bwejja emyezi 3 okutambula Uganda yonna, omuntu akyuka obwongo. These are some of the words I gave Honorable Namayanja. Nemugamba Honorable Namayanja, NRM ina weakness erimu ku information flow. The party has done a very good job. Yes, the party has erina ebikyamo ebimu nga corruption eziriyo, abantu abamu abatakoze bibalina okukola. Naye ate NRM party ekoze ebintu bingi nnyo ebirungi. Naye ate tebyogerwako. Lwaki? Lwakubanga twateekawo bridge nti tewaliwo basobola byogerako kuba tebabimanyi. Omuntu n'abeera Kampala nga tamanyi nti Gulu is one of the cleanest cities in Uganda. Omuntu n'abeera Kampala n'atamanya nti Uganda erina ensozi n'ebikko ebirungi ennyo. Omuntu n'abeera Kampala n'atamanya nti factories zizimbibwa all over the country. Bakanyanga kuwulira, people are just hearing, hey, President Museveni keeps getting his votes in the villages. You call them the villages. But the man has developed those areas. There is water, there is electricity, there are roads, there are hospitals, there are schools at a certain level. They are not the best hospitals in the world, but they are hospitals that have saved people. They are not the best schools in the villages, but they are schools that have educated Ugandans like me. My friends, I went to school, my nursery school. I was in a school called Makonzi Boarding Primary School, which is in Kasanda, past Mubende. That's where I began my nursery, in top class. So during that time, imagine when I saw nursery, Makonzi, Kasanda. But I am the guy who's speaking to you all this information. In Gulu, the universities that are there, my lawyer wange ono, friend wange ono, mtok ebo, council ebo, amateka ya gamalira leader. Amateka gola bago, and you're yet to see these young people. You're yet to see them. Huh? Mbale universities, those are places where people are concentrating on education. So katinga bantu babera we Museveni obululu abujja country yeta ina. Yeah, he knew. The president is very clever. He knew that Fabali wano mu center tubera nyo muwalala, but the real development, most people wano mu center balowooza nti Uganda stops in Kampala here in Buganda. No. Uganda is a spread country within the borderline. So that's how I came up with the plan of getting all the ghetto guys to go with them, and all the media personalities to go with them. The ghetto guys, I was to remove them from the activity so that these guys come, they don't find them, so they don't have anyone to use. Remember them, they fear police. Okay, so if you take away these guys, then they don't have anyone to hire to face police. So I was solving a security issue. At the same time, I was solving an intimidation issue. But I was not going to explain to a layman. I can't give my plan. I keep my plan. All I said is, but these people like it when Bebe Cool looks a fool. So I gave you the face of a fool to kneel down and give t-shirts. The t-shirts were very simple. NRM has t-shirts. President can print t-shirts. It was always good because the intimidation was telling people not to wear anything yellow. You remember cars were being beaten. So for me, I was giving out the t-shirts to re-encourage people to put on the yellow. But the actual reason was now these other two that I've explained to you. That was smart. But I didn't need to explain to a Ugandan that, oh, I'm moving with the ghetto guys, I'm kneeling down. You remember I knelt down. Let me tell you, in the first 14 days, Kyagulanyi was conversing about Bebe Cool on his rallies. I have that video in Fort Portal where he had done his rally, telling his people that when this Rasta comes here kneeling down, giving t-shirts, comes, chase him away. The topic was very simple. I needed his diversion. He's not at the same level with the president. No. He's at the same level with the Bebe Cools, the chameleons. He's a musician. He will never stop being a musician. That's why now all the people in the opposition are suffering. They are suffering because they refuse to accept the truth that they are dealing with an artist. They are not dealing with a politician. They are not dealing with a presidential material. No, they were dealing with an artist who is directly competing with his fellow artists. That's why some of the fans, his musical fans, come up and say, Bebe Cool Kyagulanyi yamuleka da. So it is a musical thing. Yamuleka. These are the same people who cannot ask this guy to reason politically or economically. But to them it is about Kyagulanyi yaleka Bobi Wine yaleka Bebe Cool. Bobi Wine yaleka chameleon. So in a nutshell, ne Bobi nga jali ayagala kumakinga sure nti akakasa nti abonna baleka. Nenga ate kabaka yamukola mulina bwenti. Because nze nali sina budde bwa kintu neki, nali nina obudde bwa plan yange nga bwenjikola. Mujjeko abamawulire, mujjeko abaghetto. Ate nga mumanyi mukodo. So at the end of the day alitasobola kusobola plan yange. But era God works in mysterious ways. Mu NRM twalinamu abantu abali bakola naye. We had so many people who are working with Kyagulanyi. How are they working with Kyagulanyi? They were working with Kyagulanyi because the more Kyagulanyi put on pressure on the president, the more the president released the budget. We even had people in the police force. doing very bad things intentionally. We had members of the parliament from the opposition, or we had MP candidates paying police people to arrest them, to mishandle them as women, to tear. Don't you remember that time when they were tearing women's bras? What? You look at a policeman, you say, why is this policeman really mishandling a woman? Kumbe these MPs were paying a back door. These guys were getting 2-5 million. Remember, their salary is less. So when you're given 5-10 million to kuzoganya, it appears legit that the police is mishandling Ugandans. All these things were planned. As NRM people, I tell you, I knew several people who were working with this guy, but they were way too stronger that if I attacked them directly, I would be down by today. So I said, no, I will devise my best way to work with the president. And I know the president at that time could not understand me very well, even himself, because I did not explain to him this thing, because I explained it to only Honorable Namayanja. That's why at the end of that campaign, there was a meeting at State House with all musicians and the SEC members. And in that meeting, I raised my hand. Full Figure was there. All the artists were there. Kusasira, who? I raised my hand to talk, but the president wasn't picking me. Remember, that was at the end of the campaign after the president had been announced and Asinzi. The president kept on choosing anyone else, Full Figure, but wasn't picking me. Until when the president said, Bebe Cool take our some kono. What was disturbing me? Kumbe the president had been told that my idea was just to give out t-shirts and kneeling. It wasn't a mobilization tool. So I wanted to ashame 3 people who had told the president that my idea wasn't a mobilization tool. That is the day I was supposed to explain to the president for the first time what the giving out t-shirts and kneeling meant. Kati president we ansirisa nempulira mu meeting nga balimba president. So many things happened there. I got angry, and ladies and gentlemen, for the first time I'm going to tell you, I got up out of the president's meeting and I left State House. I will never forget. I knew that nabye nkoze ekintu kubanga ezo mpisa ambi naye obusungu bwali bunzitanga sobola gena maaso nga ntudde n'abantu nga balimba president nga ndaba bwenti nesituka nenzijjawo entebe nenfuluma nengenda. And remember, oyita mu mulyango gumu toyinza kuyita eno president gyatudde era yandaba bwati nga nsituse kubanga yasooka kuŋŋamba bweteka wansi omukono ogenda kumanya ogenda kwogera ebintu bingi. Nenfuluma nali ntuuka ku Saya Queen. As I was arriving Saya Queen, ne bankubira essimu ne bambuuza oluwa ne mbagamba ndi Kampala. Bagamba badde bakweta ne mugamba it's okay. Era president yaddamu nankubira essimu after 1 month. But okunkubira essimu after that 1 month, I had spoken to General MK and I explained myself very well to General MK. The use of my mobilization tool. That is what they call mobilization. Mobilization, when you see us as musicians singing is not mobilization. I will come to that point. Singing is entertaining. It has a small element of mobilization because your fans will then trust the platform and the reasoning that you're there. Yes, but there is actual mobilization to actualize a vote. So, that was the plan that was 2026, I think. The one of, 2021. Yes, that was 2021. Okay? So, how did it fall down? They went and convinced the president because we were stopped 3.5 weeks in. So, a team of people at the secretariat went and convinced the president that, remember at that time there were 2 things that were happening. Also, let me tell you this. Kyagulanyi was doing, there were COVID guidelines at that time. The guidelines did not allow masses. So the Electoral Commission came up with saying that you can only gather 200 people. So Kyagulanyi, I knew that he wasn't going to use 200 people. He knew that the president is scared of COVID because the president was always covered and he wasn't getting close to people. He was at a distance. So I knew that this picture is going to be, if Kyagulanyi goes on the roads with these masses of people, and then the president stays in a tent with 200 people, the picture is automatically going to be misinterpreted as Museveni not having supporters. It was a very dangerous moment. Because imagine 3 months when Museveni is in tents of 200 people and Kyagulanyi every day has masses of people walking on the road. That would have convinced the international community, that would have psychologically twisted the mindset of every Ugandan that actually it is true Ugandans no longer support President Museveni. I saw it and I said I'm not allowing this. That's why the first group of people that I had were the ghetto kids, those ghetto gangsters. And then plus adding on the media, because I also said I have to take away the media so that it's not covered fully. Now I'm saying things because there's no need to they are no longer secrets. It's just to show you how we think out these things. Because most of you don't have an idea. You don't know that we sit down and plan. And we plan. Okay, you think we just move. So, I said, okay, now, buli wentuuka ku kyalo ng'oledde nina abaana ba ghetto bus nga 30. Okay? Kigenda kuwa abantu confidence nga tebambadde yellow. Ne tuyingira mu maduuka nga tugaba t-shirt za yellow, ne tuyingira in their homes nga tugaba t-shirt za yellow. They will feel safe, so they will come up. Remember, there was a game of intimidation. So that thing was taking away intimidation from cities. And people were now openly coming back to put on the yellow. So, my plan worked very well. Because every time you saw Kyagulanyi with his big trail of people, you saw Bebe Cool with so many people on the streets. But President Museveni was in the serious meetings of the 200s. You get the game? So that's how it happens. Now, how did it go down? It went down when 3 people went and convinced the president in a meeting in Soroti that Bebe Cool atulated the Electoral Commission egamba tusiga COVID. And the president, you know, President Museveni, when it comes to COVID, even up to now, to have a meeting with President Museveni, we are still going for COVID checkups. Up to today, President Museveni did not even think twice. He called off the movement. I made calls that day. I nearly ran mad. I said, how can I convince this? I went, I talked to Namayanja. Namayanja fought in the meeting. Honorable Namayanja fought in that meeting to tell people that there's a better good in this idea than just what you're seeing here. Naye kumbe, what my format was doing, it was going to stop the big budgets that the president was going to release. Because by countering Kyagulanyi, then there is no pressure from the president or for the president. And without pressure on President Museveni, he never releases money. So nali musenteza abantu nga mwenzanyira. Naye ate at the end of the day, nga nebuuza nga ngamba naye bano abantu. Esente n'eggwanga lyaffe okwonooneka, because remember at the end of the day, we had a problem of mindset. Nga abantu bali mu kugenda convinced ddala nti no President Museveni talina buwagizi, nti Uganda mbi, nti Uganda bleedinga. Ekintu tekitandika okuyingira. Era nze abawagizi ba NUP abasinga sibanenya. Because babasigamu ekintu ekyo nti Uganda bleedinga. Naye mwe bwe mutunula mu COVID bantu bameka abaafa enjala. ensi z'abazungu zonna ze mulaba abantu baafanga enjala ng'oli talina wajja kawunga naye nga ffe wano ofuluma ku muti n'ojjayo omuyembe. Naye bakonvinsinga president nga nkirabira ddala bwe nva mu pule ne nzaayo abageto ne baddayo ku kkubo, abaana ati bo tebasobola kubeererawo awo, bo balina okugenda okuzoganya okukola. Abasanga nze wano mbadde mbawa $5,000 naye kati bwe baddayo ku kkubo, it took only 2 days. Mwalaba amasasi mu Kampala, mwalaba entalo ku kkubo, iganga yonna amayinja front. That is the day, that is the week gye mwalabanga abasirikale ne bakuba abantu amasasi emange wa Kiseka yonna, ng'olwo abaana bakomyewo babalemese. Abaana bannegeya banange, abaana ba ghetto baakaaba amaziga. Do you know abaana banyumizanga ebintu buli night nga tumiitinga nga tumaze okulya biki, abaana banyumiza bagamba manyi bwe tubba akasimu okatwala ew'omukulu akasimu ka $3-4 naye ng'omukulu akuwayo $2,000 naye ssebo kati omunene otufunidde $5,000 buli lunaku. Okitegeera bananga abaana baakaaba. I've never seen what I saw. Nenfuba nenjogera namayanja mukazi otunagamba bebe sina kyakola, it has failed. Okitegeera nentika abaana nentika zibbaasi zonna abaana ne bakomawo e Kampala. Abaana olwakomawo e Kampala bwe bati ne baddayo ku kkubo ne busimu ne buvuga okuva ewa abantu nga bameeya Kyagulanyi abakozi baabwe ne bakomawo ku kkubo. 3 days later masasi mayinja buli kimu. That is why twatuuka n'okulonda n'ebya internet we byatandikirawo okuvaako. So nga ate internet eno singa nali proceedings ne trail yange y'abannamawulire, it means by the end of the media, by the end of the rallies on that campaign, media yonna yali badde side ya NRM, wali badde tewetaaga kujjako internet. Wali badde tewetaaga kubanga basojja bonna nali mbalina. Okuvira ddala ku websites, okudda ku Facebook, okudda buli aba Twitter bonna nali mbalina. But of course chenali nsinga okunyumirwa is I always wanted to stay in the dress code of a musician who wants to just sing and jump on stage, because that's what my enemies wanted or my competitors wanted. They wanted to always convince themselves that I think small. So what I did, I left them to think that I think small. Era abantu abo bakuba program eyo bankola bubi. Sometimes I look at that lady, emphasizing ku kintu ekyo, and I'm very proud that finally I got an opportunity this time to execute the same program but a bit different. Era kino kye mwalabye ekyabayimbi ne bannamawulire just kwabadde kubulako ba ghetto. Now towards the beginning of this campaign, I went to Mr. Damulira's, Afande Damulira's office. Ne mugamba Afande Damulira, programu yange ogijjukira yalina abaana ba ghetto, tulina bajja mu city. Mwami Damulira ku luno n'angamba nti Bebe, this time you don't need to take them because we have built good structures in them. Okay, and they are ready to work within their areas. Nemugamba, oh yeah, that is right. Why? Because before tewali omuntu yabazimba mu structures, bali bakozesebwa bukozesebwa. Era that's why today you see nti this time movie yange yali yabannamawulire n'abayimbi bokka. So now you can connect the two. So bufight buno bwaliwo wano mu beginning, isimanyi abayimbi bajja, those were very petty issues. You are all just diverting, talking about what you did not have as an idea. So we ended up nga tuvuddemu eyo 2021 akalulu, and ebyo byonna ebyabaawo mwalaba ebya ending abiki. So this time I devised the best way, because the best way this time was naina okufinding engeri gye nsobola okufuna finances zange eziri independent from the secretariat. But I took the proposal to Honorable to the Secretary General. Yenyini najitwala wa Secretary General. But I think it didn't pass because the Secretary General said the budget was so high. I pleaded with the Secretariat Mbagamba to get to we meet the President. I defend my budget. Of course they had added in theirs, but my budget surely was very high. But to achieve 71% success, you need a budget. And you need to make sure that that budget is used where it is supposed to be used. Waliwo okugamba ogaye nti budget yino tujikuwadde naye okozese sente kyesirina okukola. That's why we got 71%. Because all of you abandaba, everyone andaba one, amanyi my contribution to this campaign this time. Everyone knows what I did. Tetwebaka kutulo. Kakati, how did it go down? This time, namanya anti we na relyinga already proposal yange bagiganye. Naye before taking the proposal, I came up with two plans. Nengamba nina okunoonya sente, nina okunoonya omuntu gwe nsobola okukola naye for at least 2 weeks paka president wanalaba effect ya idea yange nampita. Kwanga jukira baku blockinga. Nange mwenyini bam blockinga to see him. That's why twatuka ku beginning ya campaign nga sinamulaba. Ngabira nga manja kulaba. Nenga mugamba nina ekyocha. Nenga nja kulaba fuse nja kulaba. Nenga abasajja omukulu bamugambye ekyo ky'omukulu aganye okundaba. Kati awo. That's when a friend of mine bwe twatula ne twogera nangamba nina program bagita unstoppable. Ne mugamba eri etya. Wait nti okay. Let's arm it. Ne tuji arminga. Ne njiteeka wano wabbali. Na preparing ebintu byonna nkofira bi helmets biki ne njitereka wabbali ne nsirika ne nzinga emikono. Ne ndeka ekintu ekyaliwo in the north ekyabayimbi mwe muli kubayimbi muli kuki nga naye during that period of time nali nina omuntu omu ku secretariat yali ampuliriza. Era my fellow Ugandans, I want us to say thank you to this lady. I want us to say thank you to Barbara Nekesa, the National Treasurer. President Museveni kano mukasale mu mukamuwe. The 71% is a contribution for so many people, but the most important people in this contribution are three. God, the president's work, Jewatekamu for the previous 5 years, Ngokola PDM, but the third person is Barbara Nekesa. Sichirumam. The third person is Barbara Nekesa. The National Treasurer made sure that she spoke with everyone who came with any, as however small an idea was, at the Secretariat. When my idea, when my proposal was not accepted by the Secretary General, I went, because it had musicians and the media. I went to the office of the National Treasurer, Barbara Nekesa, and I explained myself word to word as you hear now. Word to word, one word to one word. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, while the campaigns had begun. Twasokera Luwero, they stopped me from Luwero with my media people. Never nabayimbi, never tuyimiriza. Kati enaku nnya ezasooka zokka abaana bange ze bamisinga bamawulire 4 days only. But those 4 days nakeranga ku makya nengenda nentula ne Barbara Nekesa, and I explained to her the importance of the top social media people that I had put up. Barbara Nekesa ne munyonya paka Barbara oyangamba Bebe. Of course, Secretariat nze ndi National Treasurer ndi muwanika kino nekiri naye nina okufuna approvals okuva ewani SG oba kale Secretariat ngekiriza. naye teyakkiriza proposal naye kaneeyiye nga Barbara Nekesa ndabe engeri gye nkusupportingamu n'obusente obutini taba namawulire ne mugamba nyamba at least abayimbi kambireke ffe tubeere waka naye bannamawulire bagende bakolere presidenti because I knew the plan was going to fall down again. Barbara Nekesa nabeera nga mpaayo obusente butono nga buliwo kulya nga bannamawulire bange nga balina okweyiya engata gye beegatta okugenda okusula then nenjiya walala wenzija amafuta. But I knew that give Bebe Cool 2 weeks in an idea like that, everything will turn around. So Barbara Nekesa kept on supporting me, supporting the media people. Nganze siriyo, I could have gone to sing because no one was stopping me to sing. Actually, Secretary General ngamba, you Bebe Cool, you can come. No. Nze specifically bangana because I was told that the artists from the north say I refused them to sing in Buganda here, so I should not go there. Then I'm okay. So the good thing with campaigns is every region has a person who leads it. So Barbara nali mukoyeseza buli lunaku nga Barbara yogera n'omusajja mutaba yimbi bagende bakolere president. Abayimbi bano bamaze emyaka 5 basupporting NRM ense bavuma babana bano mubaleke bagende bakole akasente. Rale za Buganda ntononye bintu bya regional bifu. Ba regional artists bakole neba nabayimbi bo bakole whole country kubanga bo amanya agagwa manene. Amanya abantu ge baachawa manene. Bali yes basobola okukola mu bulijjo bakolera tewali abaganye kola. Naye amanya gabaragadi manene. Aina kola rale bisatu okufuna muko ku kasente akakompensate nga losi ye yabafani. That was my argument. Toyinza kuddira upcoming n'omuteka kuragadi ku kamiliyoni ku buchayi bwe bayiseemu wano olw'okusupporting NRA. Noli okubagamba nti bo bajje bayimbe wano. No, you can't do that. On top of that, you're seeing other artists performing the whole place. Abaka jamu NRM. Naye bakaliba batudde awaka. Bo akakokola kanywedde. Baganda bange bampita Bebe Cool. Ino okunkuba nno n'onzikiriza ddala. Kubanga nze nemulula. I couldn't have just. So, about Barbara Nekesa. I must tell the president the main reason lwaki campaign eno yali very successful. Omukyalo oyo ya making sure nti esente zirina okugenda mu bintu bye zalina okugenda ne zituuka ku muntu wa wansi. The day I was in a meeting, I used to enter by force nenyingira office ye kwa nali mbikoye. You know, secretariat eyo oyinza okuyimira mu corridors ezo nobeera ng'emmese. But when I'm working for President Museveni, I undress the stardom status. So I used to stand in the corridors. Paka when I took an enko no, nengamba kankomyewe nkofira ya artist. Nenyingira by force. So nengira kom meeting game. Nempuliranga they're activating the 30 or 60 people per village. Nensanyuka nnyo. Naye ngenda bawulira lwaki Museveni yakubye 71%. It's because structures za NRM Museveni yali yazimba yali yazivaako. Ng'omuntu omutuufu anoonya akalulu owa wansi nga bamuvaako. Era bwe nawulira nga Barbara alwana okuzza structures ezo n'okukozesa abantu abo, I became so proud and happy, and I knew that we were going to get the 70 to 80%. Ate nga nange nali nkutte flag esinga obukulu eya media. So Barbara natutwaliriza mpola. Kakati Barbara yangamba nti Barbara yali in charge side ya east, where she's from the east. Of course we twava mu north twadda mu east. Kati fabayimbi we did not perform in the north. So performances are normalizing in the east. But normalizing in the east, that's when I'll 4 days before okugenda mu east nali planninga bulungi nti 4 days ezo nze ne mukwano gwange owa unstoppable program yaffe twagiteeka in such a way nti twali tulaunching at that time nga twagala tutandike unstoppable tugende tusinkane mu east ng'etandika. Kati nga nkimanyi bulungi nti ngenda kukosa unstoppable okukomyawo abayimbi mulaali, because tewali muntu yenna yali asobola kunstopinga, because it wasn't a program for the secretariat. It was individually owned by a friend of mine and championed by me. And the budget, the money was there in my hands like this. So no one was going to stop me. Because I knew how they stopped me last time. They stopped me because they had the money in their hands. So I devised a way to get money and put it in my hands, and I knew that I will achieve the president's attention in less than a week with that program. So I only needed funds for 1 week. We took off Unstoppable at about 10 in the morning from Lugogo to Kira Road, to Kamocha, to Mulago, to Wandegea, and of course straight Kampala Road, Jinja Road, all the way paka Mukono, paka Jinja, Twasula Jinja on that day. But the media platforms zone in 1 day zafuka Unstoppable. So ne campaigns the president ne was covering, and that was intention. But the next morning there was a call from the president's train. Ila we twave Jinja twagenda straight Soroti. The third day I was in a meeting with that friend of mine, the president. And that is the day the president got to know that his boys and girls are not on the trail. Tebayimba, tebaliyo ba generals be, tebaliyo nambuza nemuga mzee chichogezaako kukola. Are you trying to confirm to the people the rumors that NRM uses people and dumps them? These are my words and I'm saying them open. Nemugamba mzee, those are the words. Nti one sudde nofuna omwana omuto omulala fail to sudde. Mzee nangamba Moses, what are you talking about? Nemugamba mzee, we are not on your campaigns. That's why I had to use this friend of mine to pull your attention. Nangamba chichi. Nemubulira ebitu nangamba stopping alamukona nangamba okay. You come back tomorrow. So the next day I went back for the same meeting. You remember the first day there was a picture. The second day there was a picture. Kati in the first day nemugamba naye ngenda kujja ne ba general babiri. That day ngenda ne kusasira ne Jose Chameleone. Now that was a day I was supposed to have gone also with Alien Skin. Remember when Unstoppable nali ntadeko Alien Skin nga musasude 40 million. Naye nga nze mutwe nali nchimanyi because Alien yalita nalaba ku president. Nga nze mmanyi nti olufuna attention ya president tugendayo na noyo mwana na yafuneyo kubanga Alien yakola nnyo for the NRM. I remember a Kololo Alien Skin yayogera clearly and openly nti kati nze ndi officially wa NRM. Naye nga already yali amaze okucontributing very much mu downfall ya abana okuva mu ghetto kuda kusaidia NRM. He had done a good job. So nga njagala agendeyo ate nga nze mmanyi dirwe basasula. Naye ye ne banne ne balaba nti tekijja bakolera balina reasons zaabwe neziteeka ebbali. That's why mwalabanga ku Unstoppable situsenze. Actually Gravity yali tagenda kwa Unstoppable kwa Gravity gwe nali nsimbudde agende mu rallies kuba that week rallies zali zigenda kutandika. Gravity nemugamba Gravity komawo ne Cathy kusasira mujje tumire ku pick up fe tugabe enkofiira ne helmets. That's how we went. Kati on that night, the first meeting, mzee when ali munyonyole ekintu ekyo, he told me, oh, Bebe, okay, I'm tired, you come back tomorrow. Nemugamba, I'm coming with Kathy, I'm coming with Chameleon. So we went, that day, waliwo omuntu omukulu nangamba nti tugatireko n'ono omuvubuka Munamasaka abadde anoonya muzeeyi, so ne Munamasaka ne tumuteekako. So we went in 4 artists. Kati that's the day when I explained to the president exactly what the picture looks like. Namugamba muzeeyi abantu balina picture erowozesa mu NRM is a user. But remember, Museveni adiringa n'ebintu bingi ate biri ku high level, tayinza kubeera ku buno obwaffe obutono, ffe tulina obwesolvingira. Nakyava mbuuza Chameleon namugamba muzeeyi bwekiri, muzeeyi ffe mazima ne tulabika. Kathy namugamba Chameleon sooka osirike, muzeeyi leka Bebe akunnyonnyole. Moses ne munyole mugamba muzeeyi narrative etambula eri nti twakubiddwa ekikono naddala nze. Nambuuza ekikono kitegeeza ki? It means sidelining, that you have used us, you have dumped up the Museveni yanyiga nze sirabangako kintu. Era mwengenda bagamba ekintu kimu, abalaba Chameleon nga asitudde ekisawo ky'essente, mwe temumanyi kye mwali mulaba, mwali mulaba ssente. Ekyo kyali kyejo, kubanga ebigambo Chameleon muzeeyi byayogera ngenda bibaddiramu. Muzeeyi yagamba, how can my generals be mistreated like that? That was the question. Teyaddamu kirala, yayita simu nangamba ekintu eki nga bawulira, nagamba okay, what do you want me to do now? Nemugamba muzeeyi manyi budget, nateekayo budget tezayitayo mu secretariat, naye kyembadde njagala mbadde njagala kuideeta bayimbi bo bonna bakomewo bajje bakusupporting, abaana bano wanooka we bakola capital, okay, bakole ku busente, ate ne industry erabikenge esupportinga NRM. Nangamba done, what do you need? Nemuwaka budget. Nemugamba give me a facilitation that I can facilitate, like I use to facilitate the artists and the media. Nakuba esimu zali saa mukaaga, nagamba controller Bebajja ne Chameleon ne Kathy. So that's why you saw ebintu byonna byakyuka omundi gumu that day. Era bayimbi bonna bonna nze benakozesa nabayita ku Sky Hotel bonna. That's why n'abantu nga Buchaman samuyita kubanga Buchaman talina mugaso ku gundi ku stage ku rally talina. Naye ate there was a time where ina contribution era desperate ye eva wonti yaluzinga nnyo bafani. Kati bw'omuleka ebbali ng'otutte just abalina hiti, obeera hypocrite, obeera as bad as bano be nali nwanyisa. So that's why buli muntu kabe Fina mugerwa. Era abantu batula ne bagamba Fina akola ki ku stage. Ne Fina ya sacrifice nga kakariya ke ako nga bwe kaali. Nayingira obukyayi mu Buganda nga bwe mumanyi obukyayi bwe bwali wano. Kakati ate mutandise okufunayo kate mubeerabira. That is not Bebe Cool. Era president bwe yawulira ebigambo ebyo, actually bwe yava ku ssimu awo nangamba n'okungamba nti now come back after tomorrow but 1. Eyo yali meeting ya kusatu. Same week jukira abalala bamunoonyeza myaka na myaka. Same week. Now I'm showing you that ebintu ebisinga bihappeninga nenga president taswa kumanya. Kakati naffe ngaffe bebi happeninga ku oyina okulwana ennyo okulaba nti olabise ebintu ebyo mu ngeri emu oba endala, so that he gets to know. Yes, the president, Uganda has the best intelligence, but ne intelligence oluusi bagi blindinga mu nsonga z'obukokola. Kati gwena kwerwanako ng'omuntu. Kubanga if I had not fought this time to make sure that the media n'abayimbi bakola, now that General Afande Damlira had handled the ghetto, okay, era nalibuddawo nenetulako abenaremu bayusers kituufu namwe abawagizi b'opposition malige twakugamba nenga ate amazima matuufu ne president yali tamanyi kigenda maaso. So president bwe yagamba yabuza n'agamba naye Chameleon. Actually mu conversation yaffe that day nga tuli bana that meeting eyokubiri yabuuza naganda but you chameleon wona onasobola ng'amubuuza nga muzadde bangamba oli muzei chameleon yebaza muzei webale nnyo okunsasula eddwaliro natereera kino kiri naye muzei kino naye Bebe kabyogere with respect ate bonna nga barifaringa Bebe with respect maaso ga muzei. Of course muzei gives me the respect. He knows my age and my experience. And he knows I'm the one who has been fighting to bring all these people, no matter who, to him. In a good way. This is not about anything. No. But we all should try and see this vision together. Kakati muzei bwavamu ekigambo ekyo kigamba nti how can my generals be disrespected? Let me tell you what happened that day. Ndaba Joseph nastuka mwawo asoka mzee ana ina fence na fesanyu na lena fence chameleon for the first time asumuluka masoka president nafuka ize simu kuogera nekati nafuka ize nafuka nga baby yamaliza president agamanti no one should ever try to fail you, my generals. I felt proud. And this message goes to the president. Those words were good enough to show me that you have appreciated the sacrifice. Because sacrifice every day amani. I'm making 50 years soon. All I know is NRM. Fight yanga bulamba wewade mukulu alina NRM. Tolina kirala kyongamba. Ate silwana bulwanyi mbu ne positioning financially. No. It's because I believed in a vision that the president preached. And I'm seeing things happening. I'm seeing things happening. Naye ngambadde ku target age emu. Naye olunaku olwo nalaba chameleon nasanyu nagira nemanya nti ya omulenzi kati naye afunye final confidence. Kubanga oluusi tukolanga tomalina kumanya nti omuntu gwokolera asiima. Era President Museveni alabye nnyo musajja mulungi, musajja asiima nnyo, naye kizibu abantu okumanya nti asiima. Ate tayinza kugamba buli muntu nti weebale nnyo nkwagala nnyo. No. Naye it was very important because ne Joseph yali yeetaga confidence eyo nganze gye nnina. Because me, I had the confidence before. I know him. We speak one-on-one all the time. He's like my father. Era yo tata wange wokubiri. Don't be surprised if mwalaba nga akyala mu ddwaliro nga ndwadde. Nze confidence njina naye I was proud and happy to sing achogera maaso ga Catherine kusasira. Of course Catherine amtwalira ddala nga muwala we ekyeje amukole ekyeje ekizibu. Catherine kusasira mzee amukole ekyeje. Ate kimukoze ekyeje. One time twali mu campaign ya Tubongawi. Mama najja ne mzee. Twali mu West eyo nga tunate okuva mu West tutandike Buganda. Kati omanyi campaigns zino zi happening in a way. There's one person who does not stop once the campaigns begin, from beginning to the end. That is the president. The rest of the people bachuka. Mpozi ne secretary jena ayinza okuwummulamuko. Naye omuntu omu atawummula buli lunaku yabeera nanyini program ye president. Mama Janet ng'agira n'awummulamu, abasirikale babakyusa, convoy emmotoka zikyuka, bannamawulire bakyukakyukamu, oluusi oli alwaddemu n'awummula bunne najja da, abayimbi oluusi akooye n'atajja, lwafunye accident n'atajja. Naye president yekka bw'ati yetawummula okuva campaign wetandika paka lweggwa. Kakati one time mama ne muzeeyi, mama yawummulamu emirundi ebiri n'akomawo n'asanga nze ne kusaasira, because that time twakolanga campaign 5 per day, 5 rallies per day. This time we were doing 2, but we were doing 5. I was emceeing and singing. Catherine and Fina Mugerwa were co-emceeing and dancing and making fun, entertaining. Mama n'atuyita yanyenya omutwe bw'ati kubanga emmotoka yayita kumpi ne stage n'anyenya omutwe bw'ati oba omulaba jukira tubeera tuyimba wuyo wanika kati maama n'atula n'agamba naye kati mu evening bwe tugenda okubuuza ko muzeeyi Lale maama n'abuuza ng'ayagala nakuvaamu maziga nti naye mmwe temuwummulako nakawummula mwebale kukola maama Janet. That is the day when namanya nti Catherine naye ayiseemu ng'omukazi. Okay, so that is how we twatandika. Kati jukira mbajidde kweri ebitandise ebyatandika ebyo, so those answers are simply answered. No, I was not going to allow musicians who have sacrificed to be minimized to that level, and to also justify nti Bebe Cool abeera ne plans behind every single thing I do. I always have a plan, and then also there's always a backup plan. So to cause the campaigns ezo unstoppable ne supporting the main campaign. Secretary General also came to accept bwetwayingira campaign not welcoming bulungi mu Kalulu. Barbara Nekesa na continuing to supporting era katono ke yali agira nange kubuno bu support nembuteekayo nengatta abayimbi nembera ngamba wa facilitation from that time all the way. Abamu beereta by force, abamu bagira na kusaidia Eddie, abamu ne batandika okuforcing eno. Honorable Speaker nankubira nampayo artist omu mugatteko ne mugattako nenkola budget zange empya era nearly nezijja close to what I had given in prior. Mzee nangamba it's okay tujja kulaba ne mugamba tujja kulaba eri ku end kastompadde ki facilitation. Let me first deliver, and we came bulungi nnyo netukola campaigns awo to of course mwalimu obuntu obutono obwo obutabulamu abayimbi bannamawulire bano tebankwata. That was Eddie complaining. To me it was very minor because omulimu ogwali gututte bannamawulire, it wasn't to cover us as musicians, but it was to cover the president and the message, and I didn't take those things serious. Of course batoba fewa abasinga bagenda kuiga wizi, and that's why I put a lot of emphasis on learning. Bana emuliza abantu abakulu babeera n'ebintu bingi behind the little things they do. Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't see the top and just think the inside is the top. No, bintu bino ebisinga byetukola tubeera ateka tubache ensite kyakola bintu direct tinzije nkuletere direct nti ebintu mbikweka memwawuliranga break the chains. Break the chains was meant I just wanted to have a topic that would make sure that by the time of the big budgets flowing in the campaigns, I'm on top of the industry. Simple as that. Because it gives you the power to run the finances. Mwino kuigo kulowooza timbera na spending $1 million, break the chains. Do you know how much I'm worth now if I was to be paid for the work I did? By the way, I want to congratulate buli muntu yenna contributing yakolera NRM. That's why bannamawulire nabafiiriddeko nnyo. Era NRM secretariat kati, I believe you all know the importance of media. You all know the importance. The number one platform right now is TikTok. You know the importance of TikTokers. Njagala kubebaza mwenna TikTokers mwenna betwali nabo. Kati ngenda kubadzayo emabega katono. Bwe mwali mundaba ku break the chains, it wasn't just about me. No. I was collecting media personalities. When nabakwata nembatwala entungamo ku coffee, I was paid $100,000. Nagano gendo kuyimba unless if I'm paid that money, because na justifying usage yazo nensasula bannamawulire. We stayed there for 7 days nga tupushinga coffee. It wasn't just a performance. Bubosa basente ng'omuyimbi. Justify the money to the client. Era bwe nawuliranga abantu boogera ebintu ng'anda Uganda baba nayiga batya, baba nayiga ddi. Gwe tosobola kulaba nti omusajja omu atambudde ne bannamawulire 7. Buli omu amusasula $15,000 ddeyire. N'amusuza n'amuliisa. Gwe gattagattamu awo plus mangu. Olabe nti in one day baspendinze sente mmeka. Bwe nabajjaawo ne ndyoka mbatwale Kenya. Mute mwabalaba nti nasulanga nabo mu zi high end hotels. Abamu bayita Munyonyi, abalala ne bayita ku ground. Bwe nava Kenya ne mbatwale Tanzania. Mute mwabalaba. I was building that for the NRM. I was showing the NRM the importance of a TikToker at that time. That if you want your project to sink in the people have one platform they listen to right now. It's called TikTok. Because twogedde nga tebawulira bigambo. Mu meetings tosobola kunnyonnyola Secretary General the importance of yani mtabani wangu le yavuma nga takyavuma Rama. Secretary General toyinza mubuulira Rama n'amutegeera. Kyovula baajja tina myalo yakambwalira eno n'abakozesa naye n'akiraba n'atambuza They listen to a different language. President wali toyinza munnyonnyola ebyo. Kyovula ba president agenza okutegeera TikTok bulungi after the unstoppable gundi eyo gye twakole Rajtura eyabavubuka podcast. That's not the era in which they come from. They come from the other era of paying for New Vision, paying for TVs. Kibadde tekinaba kubanyikiramu bulungi nti nno information kati ogitunda faster using TikTok. Era secretariat yali epanzeyo ba TikTokers bayonga 8, 10, 12. Nga naye ina abawandiisi, ina abebikamera bino ebyazi TV bino ebinene ebyo byetikka bino nga bye biriwo. Who still watches those things? 30% of Ugandans. Otherwise, the rest of Ugandans bonna kati bali ku TikTok quick information. Teba China time esoma bidi ebiwanvu nti no. That's why amawulire gagwa, and this is the truth. Papers, newspapers zagwa because of social media. And I remember King Kalisa has been telling all the media houses to embrace these social media platforms, most especially TikTok. Because it is the #1 platform. You can't deny it. So I had to find a way to convince my bosses that this is the real deal. TikTok is a real deal. Then I never forgot the original Mabega. Zinagata byombi. So how many media personalities did I work with in this campaign? About 192. But on field naina 69. On field naina 69. Naina 49 abali aba silent majority, then naina 11 abali aba unstoppable, then naina abalala abange abakigatta, the likes of Banuruddin, Bat Badru, Bani, Jenkins, anedda abo Jenkins oba asigale no Kampala. I can't mention the names of those ones who stayed in Kampala. I wish you knew. But when mwali mulaba ebintu byali bitambula systematically, because you can't first of all when you explain your plans bazibukira ne baziwamba ne befula baso zikola ne bazikosa okubbayo sente ne bakola bifu byerere. That's why president abera tayagala kubiwuliza ebintu ebyo bisinga. So plans zange nezisigaza abantu bange nayogeranga omu ku omu. So nentwala bannamawulire Kenya, Tanzania, olomba letinga closer bwemba nnyonnyola tugenda mu kalulu. They can all tell you these words. So that's why it was very easy for me to run the media. Nzijukira bwe twali mu unstoppable. Mwalingamu abantu abamu abagamba nti tulekera okuteekako logo ya silent majority. tutekeko obutesi nembaga no buli muntu yenna agenda okukola ku ground agenda kuteekako logo ya silent majority so that we are clearly identified because our energy is not going to be mixed with other people who are lazy because different people brought teams but the teams were not working. Waliwo abawala babiri abali ku lwale benasinga okutya bayingiranga ne bateekayo essimu bwe bati naye nga actual reality baali tebalina kye barecording naye nga babeera bataddeyo essimu bwe bati lumala like 15 minutes ne badde erimu ne banyumyane oyo lunaku nga luwedde bali registered. Kakati silent majority media team unstoppable media team nga byanjawulo naye on top of that nga nina website people I had about 39 websites nga nina Twitter nga nina nabayita ate bonna nga bayiwane ku Facebook. Then I had a team yasigala e Kampala a breaking it down manifesto enkadde neraba achievements nebyabulayo ne breaking it down manifesto empya then nebeera ku points za 7 omusanvu the 7 points that the president was always emphasizing about ngebiteeka mu group buli morning so nga bwe tugenda ku lwale ba tiktokers kyovula babatuka time nga banyonyola programs nga bazimanyi ono bonna actually musajja wange we Dubai Lego nafuka muzibu nyongo yinza okulowooza yabeera mu programs za PDM. All these things were not by mistake. Katinga most of the people are discussing Bebe Cool alwana ne Eddie Kenzo. Really? Really? At this era? No. I have done a contribution. I've done a lot of things. Nzena Zimba, I can tell you the first day when Eddie Kenzo called me to help him create the federation. How was the federation created? He asked me because the artists were not able to trust him. He called me and asked me, Bebe, sabo nyambe o meetinge King Saha ne Shiba. Abo webana akkiriza manyika milioni akuwuliriza ne Juliana. Ne mugamba ogenda kukola kintu federation the general sala agambye kole federation asobola okulaba ngeri government jet funding. And no, that's okay. That's fine. Bwe kiba kya industry okufunamu I will meet kubanze tombulira saha. Sagala abantu bali disrespectful. Abata obubongo obutachuka all the time kuvuma abantu kuvuma. Nene mga no it's okay. So naba meeting ira ku Torino. Actually, even at that time, I used to get an Shiba that we met at Torino, and we agreed for I don't have to like you to work with you. Let's go work. Mvamula bantu ku federation in the beginning buli muntu yaliyo. Era Joseph Chameleon will do anything. Okujjako nga Bebe has approved. Era yakugamba nda Bebe bwaba mwali mmanyi nti yabirowoozaako biba kitegeeza birimu amagezi kanzije. So is Juliana. Ate mbakubira essimu personally ne mbagamba no trust me. Naye bwe wanabaawo ekintu mmanyi omukyala nga Juliana tomala gamuteeka mukala bakyoyo. These are legends. These are very old people who have a break. These are great singers. Naye beefiiriza ne baleka ebintu kuba tebaagala buvuyo. Kakati Bebe nkubidde ondeeta mu federation ne Moses Matofu. I called him personally. Nimbayita ne tutandika federation. Kozo omukyala oli gundi yani omukyala wa hotel eyo gye twalinga yali yansaba to also to support. Ate jjukira nali ggulu before ebyo ebintu byonna twali twabidiscussing adde ggulu. I was the one who was championing Guru at that time when I spent there 4 months. So there was no reason for me to fight Eddie. Eddie is not in my caliber of thinking. No. of ideas, no, of NRM. Bakaliba ba NRM chilinganze kulowooza nti ndi mu level za Haji Moses Chigongo mu NRM mboloko ba Bebe Cool nkoze nnyo mbwe enange ninga Moses Chigongo. Ani akulagira, ani akulimba? Give Haji Moses Chigongo his respect. Chuvula neba jeno bana abalwana entalo nzaba basirikale sibazanyisa. I don't disrespect them just because I'm Bebe Cool, nze Bebe, nze feba fighter ba Museveni okuba yatuwanye. No, waliwo ate balibe yakuba nabe mundu zennyini. Ate nabo batwala hairi mu ngeri ndala. So botajja nga weesulubabba mbolokuba bakuwanye leero ate obayisemu amaaso abo. No. Obontegeera. So there was no abantu aba creating awards. Era mto wange namulaba nganga olusayo ngamba sija chiddamu. I'll only address it one day when I finish. So that's why I called this a wrap up. Those are just misconceptions. Because of course I wasn't going to tell my media people to cover Eddie. They were not being paid to cover musicians. They were being paid to cover the president, to promote the campaign, to promote the manifesto. You can go and count how many times you saw me on their pages. Very rare. Nze ngambago bano bago bajja maaso gange. Ate bagala okuntuuza mu kamera nga nzize bwende. Nze binabikowa, I'm a big star. I have seen it all. Ate kati nze combining ne reality. I combine the reality with showbiz, with imagination, with fiction. Byo nambira betemina gasiya gomsaku ngamba. Tewali. Guys, I have attended the biggest concert in the world. Go back and research. The 4664 concert at Hyde Park was viewed by over 1 billion people live. I was on that TV, I was on that stage for 14 minutes. But I was in London for 1 week with the likes of Will Smith, Bani. I was a young boy. If Tewali was social media, if there was social media, I would be the biggest artist in the world right now, from Africa. I have neyubudde in a lot. Media ya Uganda yonna yali concentrating nzeko mukunkuba. Nenkuba ne mala neyubula nenjidda kungulu. Year to year. So I have experience. That's why in Bedambagaman, I don't use those platforms to beat. If I'm to fight an artist, guys, Gwebuza Joseph, yajokubulia fenwana jetulwana. Enwana jetulwana mbi nnyo. Ngalwa chinwana. Really? An artist? Just chenkola nsirika busiris. Don't okusirika kwange kuli very dangerous. Nadala nga nkumye response. Benkuma response, obambuzi. But if I come out to send ngenda kulwanyisa, pane nange nsobola okukosa social capital yange. Social capital kitegeeza buli kona yonna, buli platform, buli muntu, buli kintu, buli sente, buli magezi, buli kimuneno. Lekati ani ayinza okusurvivinga wiki emwe. Kakati kinetagisa. So the kale I understand the topics ziba nyumira, them creating abu no bulika no kali. I can ignore you nekuyitako ng'omuntu. Kubanga mba ndaba bulabi omalira budde biki. Naye nga mba sikulwanyisa. Kubanga ebikonde ebyo tebyejamu. No way. Look at people. Learn how to judge people. Learn how to judge people's reactions so that musoke mutegeere. So twatambuza bulungi akalulu ne tukatuusa. But I already knew that we were going to hit 70 plus. And I used to tell people, ngambagabana tugenda kuba ensanvu naye nsaba Katonda tukube ensanvu plus. Kakati justification ya 71% banange bana Uganda, very very simple. Justification eno nkulu nnyo because lwaki nze nali njagala tubenga tukuba 70 plus. naye atubenga tukuba 70% we tunatukira mu transition kine kibozibozi abantu ba creating ekyo Museveni banavaawo munalaba ebyo bijja babifu kubanga party ejja kubanga ina 80% support mu Uganda atenga genuine support. So gwe nebokera ku machane wekalakasa nti president afuddewo nti oba tugende ku nguudo Museveni afudde Museveni gwe batya. No, 80% of the people will say no, we want our peaceful country, we will go into a transition, we will get elections normally, and we will elect a person another asinze, and we will go on without disturbance. That is why it was very important for the NRM to reconvene. And that's why I credit Barbara Nekesa so much. So, President Museveni, mission eno ey'emyaka gino etaano eri ku bintu ebyo bibiri: economic transformation, inclusion of omuntu wa wansi mu money economy, abantu babeereko n'akasente nga bakola emirimu nga zireeta sente mu nsawo, so that they can trust the vision. Tusobole okudda mu kalulu akaddaka ka 2031 tukomyewo president bali kululira kaliba, tumukomyewo omulundi omulala gumu ne bwaba mu kagaali ng'amaze okutereeza amafuta. PDM abantu bafuna million 2 oba 3 nga ne health system eteredde mu myaka gino etaano. Amafuta gatandika mwaka guno, amafuta galina okuyamba abana Uganda obulamu bwabwe ne bukyuka, n'abantu ababadde n'obusungu bukendeere buve nawo, sinakindi buveewo, kubanga omuntu ali bize ng'alina ebyokukola tasobola kuddawo ku Museveni ntebe esimanyi bimuwozi ntebe esimanyi biki. No, abantu bwavu bwe bubatawaanya. Era crediting nnyo president because yakiraba n'afocusinga ku bintu ebyali very important. Bano abantu mbajje ntya mu bwavu, nina okufuula Uganda industrialized, ebeere mu production. Bwebera mu production tutunde ebweru tufune sente, abantu bafune sente wano nga ziva ebweru, batunda wano ne batunda n'ebweru. Natandika okukola ddamu, amasanyalaze. Key factor number 1, Uganda eri lake tulina amazzi, tulina ettaka, yena creatinga amasanyalaze, ddamu nazizimba. Kati ba investor we bajja abawe ettaka n'abawa ne gundi eyo tax holiday ne bakreatinga ki, ne batekawo factories. Kati factories abaana batandise okufuna emirimu, naye n'Abannayuganda bennyini batandise okuyiiya. Then naleeta program ngazi PDM nassayo akakadde kamu nabannyonnyola abantu abalunda embizi akato akabuzi oba akabizi ka mitwalo 7 kamu. Family yeetaaga okugulayo embizi enkazi 2 oba embuzi enkazi 2 n'ensajja emu ne balunda ne bakolayo n'ebitooke wabbali 4 acre model ebyo directly ku Munnayuganda wansi awo. Jukira kati njogera ku Munnayuganda oli oweeri ng'ovudde wano awali amalala e Kampala. President Museveni jajja akalulu mu bantu abawuliriza programu za gavumenti. So twali tulina okumakinga sure nti we genuinely, era ndi musanyufu nnyo tewali yawakanyiza percentage ya president, kubanga president mwamulabanga musajja watu n'agenda mu nkuba mu bitooke, n'agenda alambula enkoko, alambula bufamu bw'abantu, akebera mwafunye sente, n'agobye ba chairman, ayisa abantu mubirabye for the last 4 years. What did you expect? Tubeerawo ne tubagamba nti Museveni tasobola kubba sente, talina kyagenda zikozesa. Abaana be tebasa kubba sente, tebalina kye bagenda zikozesa. 40 years mu bukulembeze ngero okyadumira sente. N'agendayo n'atandika obyekolera. Shame on all the people who are responsible for those programs. President yalibadde teyegenderayo okubonaabona, yalibadde nga mukoze ttiimu y'abantu ne bannamawulire bagamba nti okuva ku speaker tumusabajje, tugende ne deputy speaker, tugende ne abanaddiini, omukulembeze w'abasiraamu n'omukulembeze w'aba archbishop, tugende nga tulambule ku PDM. Era wano wenjagala okwebaliza, naye nja mwebaza Katikkiro ngogatako ne Katikkiro mu area ya Buganda oba Katikkiro mu different regions nga mugenda mulambula programs nga president we achikola. That was what was supposed to have happened, not himself kata sente ate nabawa mwene mu running programs ate ye najja ye as confirming omusajja yakola nakola banaye waliwo natuuka nenda wange omusajja natera okutuka naye Katonda yakola mu 7 kubanga era ne myezi 3 nga bwe mbagambye yataawummula ng'ate jjukira yava emabega nga alambula zifaamu abuuka emyala akola ki. How can you not get the 71%? Ugandans are not stupid. They are very clever, and I want to thank the young people of Uganda. Njagala kwebaza abavubuka mwebale nnyo. You justified Uganda is a country that has responsible young people. I can now put my hand on that. Let me tell you why. Wabayo omuntu akyadawutinga William 7 kankuzeeyo ku lunaku lw'okulonda olw'abavubuka lwe basimba mu mugongo. That was the year before. Mujjukira elections z'abavubuka nga basimba ku byalo ku mugongo. Elections oba zaali naye zaali ez'omu mugongo. There was no single place in the country where you saw Nup line nga mpanvu okusinga ya NRM. Mwakitekinga for granted mu opposition. Temwakitekinga for granted actually kyemwakola avoiding okyogerako kuba muba kyogerako kyali badde kinyikira mu bantu ne kifuuka so obvious nti NRM egenda tukuba. But that was an indicator that was 90% showing you that even in the general elections the president is going to win by a very big margin. It was as simple as that. Jukira strength ya opposition yali erowooza mu misguidinga mind y'abavubuka. Naye abavubuka bwe babanga basimba emabega w'abavubuka mu yellow. That was enough to show you that come the general election, President Museveni is going to win by over 60%. So the 10 to 15% that we wanted was to amalgamate the teams. Amalgamating kwe kugatta basigadde bonna bano bannamawulire bano bayimbi baani bano ba disgruntled, because NRM had a lot of disgruntled people who felt cheated, who felt not cared for. Bantu bangi nnyo abaali banyiiga. Enze nkoze kino teri anfuddeko balaba mmwe balaba biki bantu bangi abanyiiga ku mitima. That's why I thank Barbara Nekesa. Noza waliwo n'omukyalo wa Busuuti abaabeeranga ku secretariat awo nga babeera basaba busabi ssente. Naye olaba yatambula n'amalako campaign nga bamufacilitating SG abalala Barbara Nekesa n'abafacilitating. So secretariat nayo nina okugyebaza, waliwo ekintu kye yakola ekyo kyabadde very crucial okufuba okulaba nti nno abantu bonna babeera part, but omuntu asinze okukikola ye Barbara Nekesa. This is a golden woman. I'm lucky that she was always my fan before. Actually omukyalo oyo Daddy Andre yawasiza sister we gye twabadde ku mbaga kukwanjula ku introduction. This woman is just amazing. Why nebibye bikyamu mwe mumanyi naye nze here at Museveni I needed Museveni to do that. This is a security issue and this is a mindset issue. Omunayuganda bali bamulimba nti abantu tebagala Museveni naye ku luno mwakitegedde kubanga tebakikugamba nti tebagala Museveni lwa kubanga kirala abantu bali baagala creatingawo embeera ereeta insecurity mu ggwanga, ababbi abatemu ebyokulwanalwana abantu bafiirwe ebintu byabwe. That was the game behind, so that ensi z'abazungu zijje zitwale ebyamaguzi byaffe ebintu byonna bye mulaba kati bye tuli mu kujjayo. Mubadde mumanyi nti tulina iron ore, mubadde mwali mumanya amafuta, mubadde mumanyi nti Uganda ina gold enkanidde awo. Kati bano abasirusiru simanyi abazungu bagenda kalete bo basiru balowooza nti focus bagiteeka ku Museveni, kumbe omuzungu talina kyasobola kujja wano nga talina kyayagalawo. Ensi mugiraba eddiridde Kongo ewava buli kimu. So Museveni muntu mubi nnyo ku bazungu. Yateekawo security mu region gye balina okubbamu. Tebabba kubanga ye yateekawo embeera. bagala aveewo basobole okujja okutajjukira mu lutalo babazungu batwala butwazi kyebagala omuntu wa bulijjo n'alyoka abonaabona bannange. Naye Museveni Eastern Central Africa ataddeyo security kati abalemesezza embeera Congo yewali minerals ezisinga okubeera important mu science mu technology. Buli simu gy'okutte buli computer gy'okutte mulimu akantu mu simu akakolebwa mineral ng'eva Congo yokka mu nsi yonna ate nga nnyingi. Kugata gold yenna ali Congo naye ebisinga byonna biri side eno ate olina kuyita Uganda. So kitegeeza nti bo destabilizinga Uganda nefuuka nga bwolaba South Sudan region yonna eba ejjudde ebitalotalo. Kati bo balungi balina ebyuma balina amamotoka balina emundu bo bajja balandinga batwala butwazi bagenda nga babawa emundu nga bwe mufaafaako nga bawera babala bameka abafudde abo batuviiriddeawo tusimaawo nga batwala. Naye ono agenze Congo akutte security, agenze South Sudan akwata security, agenze kati region bwebeera mu mirembe omubbi talina bwayingira. Kyekyo ffe kye tulwanisa tetufaayo oba Museveni amalako emyaka 6. Ffe tugamba tetuwa muzungu opportunity ku creating a den of thieves in this region. Tulolezeeyo tetubawa opportunity kugamba nti no kati wano nga boolaba mu nsi z'Abawarabu eri ewajjudde ba terrorists because kyangu nnyo creating a den of terrorists in a region. That's why olaba ensi ezisinga zonna zifunye ebizibu. So n'olwekyo it was very important as a mindset issue okumakinga sure nti 70 and above was a result. Now we are coming back in 2031 with President Museveni. This time I can say the last term, because jina emyaka 5 tumwetaaga amafuta ga stabilizing, iron ore stabilizing. Olaba bino byatera okugamba nti teri kufulumya kintu kyonna nga tekina value addition. Okay, value addition is so important. Tufulumye ebyuma ebizimba nga tumaze obikola, tufulumye gold nga amaze value nga bamaze ogigata. Coffee tufulumye coffee nga onywerawo instantly nga tumutunda. Lwaki bali batwala bo omuntu n'otunda emmwanyi kilo emu n'ogitunda emitwalo 4 oba omutwalo gumu kitundu katugambe kilo emu, naye omuzungu n'atuuka eri kilo emu n'agiprocessinga kilo emu n'agitunda emitwalo 5 nga gwe wagitunze mutwalo gumu, naye ye processing eyo afunyemu emirimu afunyemu ate n'agitunda emitwalo 5. So kyovulaba nti tubadde tukyamwetaaga lwa nsonga eyo, si lwa nsonga nti tetumanyi nti twetaaga change. No, change is okay. Naye bano bwe tugenda okukyusa tebalina zero, tebalina maanyi gali gayimira mu maaso ga muzungu n'amugamba nti nedda ssebo sijja, oba ogamba nti sijja. Embasa yaffe bwe tugamba nti okugenda ewaabwe, nalabye abantu bacomplaininga American Embassy egamba $5 million okugendayo nga olina okuleka $5 million okuzireka ku embassy osobole okufuna visa. Kati Omumerika akugamba ekintu kimu very simple. If you can afford 50 million and leave it at my account so that you can go and come back, it means you can use 50 million in a business in Uganda. You don't need to go to America. That is the direct message Trump is telling you. He's trying to check whether you can afford $10,000. Whoever can afford $10,000 does not need to go to the US and become a citizen there. Kutusumbua abantu. Okuja kugenda okuvisitinga. That's the message behind the 50 million shillings. If you can afford to leave 50 million on an account of the American Embassy, it means you can afford to borrow it and start a business in Uganda. Then why travel? Let those who travel to do shopping go do shopping because they already have money. Naye ojja kwesanga ng'omuna Uganda alina ettaka Eruwero nga litunze $7 million agenda kuleka $5,000,000 ku American Embassy agende abulire mu America asobole okufuuka omutuuze. Katonda wa. But we are not going to stop. Tugenda kulwana okubuulirira abantu baffe obutakola nsobi. Si mu bubi. Ate n'abantu ne tubanenya lwantu nsonga. Sinti buli muntu entegeera yeeyo. No. So, njagala kwebaza nnyo Barbara Nekesa, of course, secretary. Also, akalulu kano, njagala kugamba nti it was a team effort. It was a team effort. Buli muntu yenna this time yazze naro. Simanyira president nebaza agenda kwebaza mu bantu. Buli muntu yakoze bulungi. Nnyo. Yadde abamu basukulumye. Abamu kufe twasukulumye because we know exactly what we needed to do. Museveni deserves full support. Full support sirwa kumwagala just nekulaba nti programs ezigenda as planned because the programs are good. Ngenda ba good example y'ekyuma kya coffee ekyo ekiri entungamu. Banange ekyuma kiri singa kitandika. Era nsaba government ne speaker ne deputy speaker wamu ne president, let us keep giving money to that to making sure nti ekyuma ekyo kikola. Whatever error that is there, we rectify it. Fe to making sure nti coffee, but because ekyuma ekyo fefe kamu Africa abagenda okuba nakyo. Omusajja alina dream nene. Era kati dream eri 70%. Kakati oba kano kakyaganye kuba amasanyalaze n'amazzi sofa ye reason lwaki tebinnatandika. Naye nayogeddeko naye kuba mbeera mubuuza because I supported that project because the president trusted the project. President oyo alina amagezi mangi nnyo because of experience. Tasobola kugwa mu kintu nga just tategedde. Lwako abantu abasinga bamuyisama amaaso balowooza nti tategeera bintu. Abitegeera. So when I get the kono omwami oyo Nelson Tugume yagambye, of course amazzi n'amasanyalaze agakozesebwa ku kyuma ng'ekyo mangi nti yeetaga pipe ze nga bolaba pipe ezifeeding ekyalo nga mulaba ku makubo bwe batambuza ezo eza bbulu ennene kati ekyo ekyuma kifuna yaakyo. Then n'amasanyalaze amount y'amasanyalaze agalwaningisa ekyuma ekyo gaakyo va kubina ebya 3 phase ebyafu. So biri mu process and I'm very sure the last I had in the next 3 to 4 months I'm very sure nti amazzi gajja kuba gatuuse most likely in less than 5 months n'amasanyalaze gajja kuba gatuuse and production will start. But as Ugandans tulina okulekeraawo anticipating wishing it to fail. No, we should join hands and see to its success. Because omulungi tabulako kamugo nanyini idea naye ayinza okulemwamu k'awantu kati ffe twesunze tulinda alemwe. No, ate bwalemwa sente ze tutaddemu zijja bazifa. Just tumwegatteko tumaking sure nti kikola. So 71% papasi yayo erina kubeera directed towards mindset change, and I'm very happy that the Ugandan youths are positive about it. But again, I am not going to say that stop condemning the wrongdoing in the Ugandan system of governance over the Ugandan government officials. No, where wrong is wrong, please continue putting these people on pressure. That brings me straight to Bobby Wine and no, not Bobby Wine, Chagulanyi and Mpuga and the 7, are they 7? The 7 Buganda former members of parliament, aba opposition, aba bebaje mu parliament. Now, Kuchino, I'm talking about the likes of Mpuga, Segona, Ani? No, Namboze is not part. Namboze actually in parliament. Namboze is coward Mulonji. Semuju, most especially the likes of Semuju. Abuanika. Now, first kantandikire mu kwebaza Katikkiro. Njagala kwebaza Katikkiro. Ngenda ku blaminga Katikkiro naye kansoke nkwebaze because ensobizo wamala no rectify ngate nokola butuufu. Number 1 nebaza Ssaabasajja Kabaka bifunga sinebaza Katikkiro. Kuso kwebaza Katikkiro ma nebaza Kabaka. Nebaza Kabaka mu areas ezimu. Waliwo of course areas ezilacking. Kubanga ensi yakyuka. Bino ebyo government Kabaka tayogera ku politics kati ebyo tubiveeko. Kubanga Kabaka ali mu nsi yennyini. Kabaka abantu bamukiririzaamu. Kabaka is a darling. Kabaka ina every hand to rectify the direction of a wrong mindset of a Ugandan. Kabaka ina ekisumuluzo ekisobola okugamba nti yeyekka asobola okwogera n'agamba nti bannange temukola kintu kino. Kubanga kati ensi eri direct. Ensi tekyalinga edda. No. Ensi eri direct. Katikkiro mwebaza lwa nsonga. Katikkiro agezezaako nnyo indirectly okutaasa embeera eyali eyonoonese mu Buganda towards okukola ne government n'abantu okuwagira NRM. Sewami Katikkiro kudos. Executing a Jozo, executing ebigambo ng'osabula Kyagulanyi. That was clear. Era naawe you could go mu ku nsonga lwaki bano musanvu banno nga bwe mwakula Buganda bwe yabakuza. Because Buganda yali ekoze ekintu kirungi okugamba nti naffe nga Buganda katufuneyo abantu baffe tubasomese tubakuyigiriza ebyobukulembeze bayingire mu bukulembeze basobole okubeera ku level ye national. Not Buganda but national. Nga basaka bajja mu government ne bakulakulanya ensi yonna ng'eggwanga ebiteeso byabwe, then ne basaka n'okusaka programs okuva mu government ne zijja ziyambe Buganda. That was a very good plan. But the only mistake came when mwerabira mmwe kennyini aba Buganda nti nno abantu nga bampuuga mwabasindika mu masomero mwabatangira obutanywa njaga mwabakuza n'empisa mwabakuza ne respect okubeera ne respect y'abantu abakulu kubanga obalabye bonna babajje mu kalulu naye oyinako gwolaba avuma toyina gwolaba avuma wenako gwolaba afuutuka akagamba agawemula tewali n'ogo naye tuli mu myaka gye gimu. Kyagulanyi muto katono kwaba abasajja katono nnyo mwakuza abantu bano with intention okubafuula ba leaders ne Buganda ebafunemu ne Uganda ebafunemu. Lwaki temwasobola kulaba kintu kye nabagambanga? Bannange waliwo enjawulo w'omugenzi Semwogerere enjawulo ya Dr. Kizza Besigye. Those were people abasoma abalina experience mu politics. Emirimu gyabwe gyatandikirawo nga ba politicians singa bayimbi oba babazzi. Tinojja omubazzi mu kubajja ntulokuba mulungi mu kubajja n'ogamba oyo abeera omukulembeze. Buganda eyinza etya okuba nga teyalaba nsobi eyo? So n'olwekyo mu kufumba Robert Kyagulanyi mu kumufuula kyali ekizibu ekijjidde empuuga ne banne, Buganda is to blame. Teri kulumamu. Mwatuula engeri gye muli bakatikkira abakadde. Juzi wano nayogera ku bakatikkira abo abaasituka ne bagenda emagere. N'otululira abasajja nga kati mwagendayo ne muwagira Bobi Wine asobole okukuba bampuuga. Ne muwagira Kyagulanyi asobole okujja Sseggona mu parliament. Ne muwagira Kyagulanyi asobole okujja oyo yani simwagala abeera avuma Museveni buli kiseera. Semujunganda nze nkijawula ku Semujunganda is personalizing Museveni all the time, but you might have good points. Naye omuntu nga Semujunganda naffe aba NRM tumwetaaga. Aba basajja tubadde tubeetaaga kubanga be babadde ba marking ennyo abasajja abakola ebikyamu ne batwala ssente. Aba basajja babadde babalabisa nga tebabatya. Era kyovula Museveni abadde abaagala nnyo abasajja abo Museveni. Ekyo nti babuulira indirectly kuba amanyi bamukwatira ababbi ababba nga talaba naye ate nammwe kennyini ne mubajjayo ate ne muteekayo abatasaana kwogera bannange Bebe Cool mwagala babuulire byenkanawo olwo muli mukyali mubiri nti omuyimbi simanyi muyimbi yamuleka bino ebintu biri obvious era mwe bakatikira abaasituka ne mugenda paka kati twagala mutuwa apology kyovulaba nti neebaza Katikkiro Charles Peter Mayiga. You cannot see educated people ngabo ne mubajja mu parliament ensi yaffe nakulaakulana etya nga mutuleetera oli omuwala simanyi yaani MP yaani oyo eyabuuzibwa ayagala genda ku National Theatre bannange mutuleetera abo oleete Nabbosa ensi mugituusizaawo mbu ya Uganda empya Sseggona ave mu parliament oleete basajja mmwe naye kale kandabe komenti zammwe bwe zinaabeera sebo mwongerayo Walukagga mujjayo Sseggona kati amazima no gaawukana n'obuwagizi ebyo ebintu bibiri tubyawule amazima gaawukana n'eki n'obuwagizi kaakati ekizibu ki kye tuyina Sseggona Mpuuga Ssemujju waliwo noono Bwanika waliwo noono omusajja waffe w'e Masaka yagyeko abantu egundi kanso oyo so yanguza ku mmotoka edda mwagala nnyo omusajja mugezi nnyo naye musajja mukozi ate musajja mpalapalanya naye naawe kanso yani erinnya sooka olinfuniraawo kanso ngenda kunenya ebitabo tebyakugasa mwena abasajja mmwe when it comes to having joined Bobi Wine mwena you are there as hypocrites ebitabo tebyabagasa muyinza mutya okuba nga temwalaba nti mudestroyinga careers zammwe kati mwe n'embidde ani ali better Mbidde refuse to join that nonsense mwali badde mulinda taamu 2-3 omulenzi n'agwa ne mukomawo laba omulenzi bwagenda ne career zammwe ze mulwanidde ze muzimbye omulenzi agenze nazo ali mu 20% okuva ku 20 adda ku 12 oba 9% agenze nazo temukyasobola kwejustifyinga mu bawagizi be mujjukire yali muyimbi obuwagizi bwe si bwa political obuwagizi bwe bwagazi musically abo bawagizi yavana aba abasinga eno abawagizi ba Besigye bamutadda balinda bafuneyo Besigye omupya kuba Besigye was reasoning nakuba naye teyali patient. Everyone has his time. Besigye came at the wrong time when there is a better person who is Museveni. So not trying Museveni, then Besigye would be the president. Naye Besigye grew up at the wrong time. There is always a bad timing. Honorable Yusuf Nsibambi ngawali musajja mugezi. Honorable Yusuf Nsibambi oyinza otya okubanga wagwa mu katrapu apo awo Namboze wabasingirako ate Namboze kale wabasingirawe wano yetaswala Namboze ye yasala wali esavu eryocho bali mwoche yewe yayingirayo nagamba nze nonya sente oba ndabikanga omusiru kanonye sente ye Namboze kadi olumala kadi nga alwalamu awadda ku bugaali myaka enanga ze sente ze zigendayo ku account bu agenda ku TV show no bu TV bondoza kanso bana Uganda mu mayinti TV zisasula awalo milioni nnyo batano okubeera part of those shows mukitegeera. So Katikkiro mwebale nnyo ensobi ya Buganda yaliwo okusupportinga okulaga bana Uganda oba abantu ba Buganda nti mwe mwali ku side ya Kyagulanyi. That was a major blow. Mwe mwefumbira obutwa ne mubwerira kati tu enize apo nga abantu baffe bemwateekamu obudde obwesigwa okubazimba mubadibaze okudibaga kuli Semaka nti kakati bennyini abantu bosebo ayisa basajja kabaka abantu bosebo mwami Katikkiro bennyini tebasobola kuwuliriza basajja abo enimo kakati kitegeeza mwayoza ne mwanika mu ttaka kati bwoba tosobola kuwuliriza abo abasajja kati muyinayo abalala be mu preparinga today abali mu universities muba preparing abaana mu Buganda okuleeta ba future politicians nga mubategesenga abo kakati ekyo bwe kiba tekiri bwe kityo mbadde nsaba mwami Katikkiro mbadde nsaba obuteekweka kubanga government programs zayo nungi tuze amafuta gazze sente zisembedde iron ore gold ekyabateesa mu byobukulembeze kwali kukolera abantu nakulakulanya Uganda neggwanga lya Buganda ekyabatwala okukola emirimu egyo tekyali pate kije mubeeramu teyali pate nti no nti tuzimbe pate no kyali kya kuweereza kuweereza Abannayuganda n'abantu ba Buganda as a whole. So n'olwekyo bwe kiba kyaganye ewa Kyagulanyi nga waliwo ensobi ezaakolebwa bannange temuleka kaliya z'abasajja okugenda n'amagezi gaabwe kugendera bwerere muveeyo kyere muwandike mugende mu meeting President Museveni mukole naye enensi teriiko kuswala kasita okola ekintu ekituufu temwenyika mumbu bandaba batya oyo bandaba batya obwo bukopi na bugwagwa. When you made the first mistake to say mwali badde mwasoma enough okumanya ntino omuntu alina background ng'eyoyo omulenzi yali tasobola bakulembera ku magezi ge mwali mulina ate nammwe mwali temumusuubira kubakkiriza kumuyisa muli mupate mutandise okuba amasuuti mwesetinga mutandise okusuggestinga mbu president wa pate akyuke buli myaka 10 mumuggyeko omugaati gwe musiru mwe mwali temukiraba nti ekyo n'ataasoma nga ye yali akiraba ne mugenda ne mweteekayo ne babatematema naye it is not all done or all gone right now. It is not all done or gone. Muli basajja bayivu muli basajja bagezi omulimu gwammwe gwabateeka mu bintu bino gwali gwa buweereza temunyigira bantu ntino tebaba wadde bululu no mukyuse bukyusi ruumu mugende mubaweerereze mu ruumu endala wali mubadde mu kisenge kati mugende mu ddiiro mubaweerereze mu ddiiro mujja kulaba nga abantu bennyini abaali babakyawa bazzeemu babalondera eno mu ddiiro bajja kuddamu babajje babalondere mu ddiiro kubanga abantu kye beetaaga buweereza services. People don't care which party you are in to bring them water, to bring them electricity, to bring them good schools and good hospitals. People just want services. They don't care where. Chovola baba NRM beyongedde kusinga. So n'olwekyo mbasaba ssebo baganda bange mmwe nzoma esagala nnyo kubeerako ebintu mu Buganda mu biki no ne regions endala zina abakulembeze and it's good for these regions to build leaders with intention. So bana basajja bakyali bato tunoja Ssemujju kasajja kagezi nnyo just nawe mwami Ssemujju fa ku Museveni ne bawalabe gwe bukyanga omwogerako gwe walabe bwekikyuka gwe esudde n'embuzi ebiboziboze nenga ato oyina points omanyi analysis omanyi buli kimu. If you can't beat them, join them. Nze namala emyaka nga njogera ne Mao Honorable Mao oyo banange nakutuka ne Honorable Mao nze nalisabanga muntu mugezi ng'oyo ne mugamba muzeeyi bw'obeera kuti oyogera ebintu banaye Mao alina amagezi banaye Mao amanyi Katonda yakola Mao ne mugamba kakati Katonda namugamba kibonaafa n'ogenda n'amagezi ago gonna nga toyambye eggwanga ng'ate yagakuwa just because oli bweru ogamba tosobola kuyingira munda ne mugamba bw'oba ogamba Museveni mukyamu mu koona eno gwe genda omugamba agikuwa ekkoona gwogirectifying twakayananga Mao nansanga nansunanga nakola nayenga tube and that man is full of respect. He doesn't underestimate anyone, just like nga President Wali Museveni. Mao does not underestimate anyone. Mao, he gave me all the time. We kept talking. I'm telling him, when you speak to me, you speak to people. Go join the government. It doesn't mean you're leaving your party, but work with the government and rectify where it is wrong, because it is about service delivery. It is not about where you stand to do the service, but it is about the service you give to the people. Which again, and white out banga tononyo, era sebo honorable, ndi very happy because you're doing tremendous. Ebintu byokoze mu side y'ebyamateeka singa abantu bamanyi at the moment. So baganda banga bavudde mu parliament mu tubegayiridde mujje mutujoining muve mu ebyo ebyekisibu. Omusajja mu identifying wali missing gaps mweze mbadde mulaba abateeke mu offices ezo mugende mukolere abantu mwe mukolere eggwanga kozi yensonga lwaki Buganda yali eba supporting mukolere ne Buganda musakire Buganda. Uganda egenda tandika sente ani agenda okupulaninga okusakayo Walukagaya anasakayo. Tuve mbine ebyachi. Politics is just politics, but service and understanding how systems work and having an opportunity to work and see that our fellow Ugandans live a better life, it's a blessing from God. So temwe kwata so mami sibambi ndi very happy mwagenze mwabasobodde ogende wa president. If you still want service, I'm very sure you had a very good conversation with the president, because you're wired for service. Muli wired to serve people. You're not wired to sit back. Kati muganda wangono gwe bakola munga segona bamukola munga akabwa face kakati oluli wali kifananyi wali olina ku sente ngoli oli mu parliament kati olo banakola face banakola mu kabwachi ngo yavu wadde we noli eyo we kubagizambo bakumma akalulu temuda mwebyo omulenzi yabalagako namwe mulageeko abantu babalazeeko namwe mbalageko naye ndi very sure abantu tebabeera personal. Abantu bo baagala services. Mugende wa Museveni musavinga abantu bammwe nga mwina backup ya president w'eggwanga. Kitegeeza amazzi mugaleeta, enguudo muzigwe, programs muzisembeza, abantu laavu ekomewo to you. Kale basically ndowooza ebintu ebisinga byenali yagadde okwogerako when it comes to akalulu ndowooza mbyogeddeko. Omanyi njagala kumala kusanga 12 kitundu kubanga Arsenal naye ntadde ku buzibu. Obanze ebintu bya Arsenal sibitegeera banna. Arsenal kati njagala kukozesaayo 1 more hour. Probably tujja kuddamu okukola live endala next week. Katukole ngenda kukola eno nzeka sijja ku invitinga. The next Sunday I will invite. Maybe out of these conversations, I pray that people have conversations to see if I have said things that make sense. Of course abasinga bajja kudda mu byakuvuma abakyali mu byokuvuma biki naye abakirabamu amagezi okudiscussing ebintu ebyo n'okulaba engeri gye biyinza okuyambamu. You can discuss, but ku Sunday tujja komawo ate I will host people and then we have conversations about these ideas. But of course topics endala ezibaddewo yadde era eri connected ku politics yeya abanaffe babadde bakwatibwa nga abanuupu oba aberimbika mu nuupu, security organizations ezizze zikwata abantu. Njagala kubagambayo akantu kamu ng'Abannayuganda. Uganda has one of the best intelligence security services. Intelligent. So President Museveni has one of the best intelligence in his security apparatus. Elements ezibafuula besties butayogera. Era nga bomanyi intelligence erina kubeera secretive. Temwina kye mukola ebyo ebintu bye mukola byonna ebiri radical nga tebamanyi. Ate tebabagamba. Just baba balinda ku time entuufu. Waliwo n'omuvubuka ono gwe balaze era Bannayuganda ababanaye muli surprising sometimes. Omuvubuka yabadde yebakana abawala nga abamu abaforcinga sexual. Bannange kambagambe ekintu. Nalabyeko ka video kamu kapaati ng'omuvubuka akutte screwdriver oba n'akaso nga warning omuwala nti abadde ajja mutundula mu maaso. Akantu ako nina okuba nga nkalina wano. Ate njagala nkabazanyiwe tugende mu maaso wano ko nga tukogeddeko. Omuwala ng'ayimiridde naye ng'omuwala yeekutte ku ttama bw'ati. Kantu ako kaliwa. Kaakano njagala mwenna mukalabe. Tuddemu twetegereze kubanga engeri yokka gye ngenda